All right, let's talk about a hidden danger, a little trap that affects us on the road and, you guessed it, in our wallets. It's this psychological blind spot that can make even the smartest people do some pretty risky things, whether they're behind the wheel of a car or in front of a trading screen. So let's start with a number, a really big, sobering number. In 2022 alone, almost 168,000 people died on India's roads. It's just a stark reminder that when you're in a high-risk environment, things can go wrong fast. And this brings up a huge question about us, about human nature, right? When the danger is right there, clear as day, why do so many of us just ignore it? Why are we so convinced that we'll be the one to get away with it? So to figure that out, let's dig into the psychology of it all. What is the mindset that makes people take these kinds of chances? You'll see it's way more common than you might think. I mean, we've all seen this, right? The driver weaving through traffic like it's a video game, someone overtaking on a blind curve, or just glancing down at their phone. Every single one of these actions is fueled by the exact same thought, that little voice in our head that says, "It won't happen to me." Now, that "it won't happen to me" feeling, well, it's not just a bad habit. It is a specific, recognized psychological bias. So let's put a name to this sneaky little flaw in our thinking. It's called the overconfidence bias, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's our brain's natural tendency to think we're a little bit better, a little bit smarter, and a little more in control than we actually are. It's the thing that whispers to us that bad stuff, that's for other people. And get this, studies have found that 80% of drivers think they're better than average. And an absolutely staggering 90% of professional money managers think they're better than their peers. Now, of course, that's literally impossible, right? You can't have almost everyone be above average. It's the perfect example of this illusion. Okay, so here's where we make the jump. What in the world does all this talk about driving have to do with your bank account, with your investments? The answer is pretty much everything. It turns out that the mental mistakes we make on the highway are almost identical to the ones we make in the stock market. Yeah, the scenery is different, but the flawed thinking is exactly the same. Just look at how perfectly these behaviors line up. Overtaking on a blind curve, that's the driver's version of making a wild speculative trade. Ignoring your seatbelt, that's like an investor ignoring diversification. In both worlds, we're totally overestimating our own skills and just completely underestimating the risks we're taking. And if you think I'm exaggerating, the hard data tells a brutal story. A SEBI report showed that a massive 93% of day traders in India lose money. 93%. But millions of people are still convinced that they're going to be in that tiny little 7% slice that actually wins. That, right there, is overconfidence in action. And here's the kicker. Even with those terrible odds, the number of people jumping into this gamble has just exploded. It grew 8 times in only 5 years. That's what happens when a whole lot of people think the laws of probability just don't apply to them. So why does this keep happening? Well, a big part of it is that our own minds kind of rig the game. We have selective memory. When a trade goes our way, we chalk it up to our own genius. When it fails, oh, that was just bad luck, a crazy market. This cycle makes it impossible to learn from our mistakes and just keeps that overconfidence train rolling. So, the big question is, how do we protect ourselves from this? How do we stop our own brains from wrecking our finances? Let's build a simple defensive playbook, just like a good defensive driver has a plan to stay safe on the road. These 4 steps are the cure, so let's make them real. First, awareness. Before you make any investment, I want you to literally write down one good reason why it could fail. Force yourself. Second, humility. Go find an opinion that argues against your idea. Don't just look for people who agree with you. Third, diversification. Look at your portfolio right now. Is more than, say, 10% of it in one single risky thing? That might be a warning sign. And finally, learn from your mistakes. For just 1 month, keep a journal. Write down why you bought something and then check back later, win or lose, to see what the real lesson was. You know, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this right here. Humility is your greatest weapon as an investor. Just admitting what you don't know is so much more valuable and profitable than pretending you know it all. All right, let's wrap this up with one last safety check. Let's make sure that your confidence is working for you, building your wealth, and not against you, driving it off a cliff. Look, the goal is not to get rid of your confidence. You absolutely need confidence to invest for your future. But the trick is to balance it. Balance it with a healthy dose of caution, a shot of realism, and a real respect for all the things you just can't control. And that's really the question I want to leave you with. Take a good, honest look at your own choices, both on the road and with your money. Is your confidence your co-pilot, or is it trying to grab the wheel and send you into a spin? Answering that question is the first step to a much safer and much more successful journey ahead.